Bonjour, Potawatomi for hi. Bonjour, welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable here on Facebook at Star Nation's organization's main fan page. Today is Wednesday. I know, it's Wednesday already. And I get so much more to do. It's August 14th. It's August 14th. Yeah, today is kind of the energy is kind of wonky. For me anyway. Maybe it's because I think I just have so much to do, and I do, but not necessarily everything's got to get done right away, right? That's what my mother says. So welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, and we are having some really wonderful weather here. It is cloudy. It is cloudy. It hasn't rained, but it's like 72 degrees. Yeah, it's actually pretty nice. The mosquitoes aren't bad either. That's always a good thing, right? So today's card draw is all about the energy that's flowing today and what's important for us to know about for our spiritual growth, for our soul contract, for just to be able to get through the day in a more balanced way, right? That's what the show is about. And the cards that are drawn in the morning, the intention, is basically the same every morning. But today is kind of, I don't even know what the word to call it. I said it was wonky, but it's not really wonky either. It's just different. And so today's cards, I'm hoping will spark a spiritual conversation that will help us to understand what today's energy is really about. It's going to be interesting to see what the people in the live chat, the audience, is going to say about the cards. So I'm looking at my phone. I was going to take my phone to be able to share the live stream, to send it over to my my news feed, and I just want to make sure my sound's turned down. I want to remind my friends that that I'm live streaming. So that's what I'm going to do. It's weird. Technology and me today is not having a good time together. So I'm going to like the live stream, and I'm going to send it over to my news feed. And I invite you to do the same thing, even if you share it with just one other friend. That's really helpful, because maybe there's somebody that you know that would enjoy the conversation, would enjoy the community, and you'd be able to share that with them. So I'm saying hi to my friends, letting them know that I'm live streaming. And we're going to ask them if they want to come out and play. Please join us. There we go. And do that. Okay. Then I'm going to send it over to one of our closed groups. I'm going to send it over to the Star Nation's live stream closed group. And just to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. And to come out and join us. There we go. There. Done. Done. All right. I don't know. I know that there's like 6 different kind of live streams that are running all at one time, all across the world, right? And so a lot of times we'll come to we get so used to it, right? And we come in and they've changed things, and you're going, when did they do that? And how did they do that? I mean, things are different, right? And so Facebook on my phone is different than what's on my laptop. The layout is just different. Things are in different places. It's like, I noticed that this morning. That's when the whole thing started. So it's like, I know that I see chats, comments in my phone, but they're not showing up in the studio. What the heck? All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to refresh my screen. I'm going to see if that makes any difference. So I'm going to be gone just for a second, okay? And I'll be right back. There. See, that didn't take long. And let's see if the studio populates with comments. No, nobody's there, but I see all kinds of people commenting on my phone. Isn't that weird? Weird. Okay. Well, we're just going to go with it. And I can see in the studio, whenever you guys do the hearts, the likes, the emoticons, how we do that. I just sent some and they don't show up in the studio at all. That they were done. Weird. Okay. Let's see. Christine's here. Hey, one of my sisters. Hi, Christine. And Rochelle's here too. Rochelle Lottie, thank you for being here. Hi, Christine. Yeah, and Deb's here too. She's watching with Rochelle. Yes. Oh, thank you, Rochelle, for reminding me. Yes. Rochelle is sharing that she grounded today. And so I would take the moment now to pause and ask that question to everybody. Is everybody has done their grounding today? Because we know that the deck of cards that we're using this month, it's all about emotional balance. And so to be able to take in the information in an optimal way, right, for each one of us, is for us to be grounded. So if you haven't done it yet, please pause and take a moment to do your grounding. And before we start launching into the cards, I'll give you a couple moments here to do that. Rob is here too. He says technology sucks. It's not one of my best friends today, that's for sure. And I use technology a lot with Star Nations. And Rochelle says she sprinkled the live stream over to her. I'm sure it's probably to your personal newsfeed, right? Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Okay. So as I'm pausing to allow some time for people to do their grounding. I was going to say, last night's show, Communications from Home, my weekly evening show. Oh man, I had so much fun with it, talking and sharing about the August issue of the magazine, Star Nations magazine, and really sharing about how we're all seekers. We're all searching, right? Some more than others, and we all do it just a tad bit different too, right? And when we find information, spiritual information, that we find so very helpful, maybe because we're just learning about a certain spiritual aspect, right? And we just try to take in as much information as possible. And then what we do is we start applying it, right? We're hoping we're going to apply it. And also the same information for someone else might be a validation or confirmation of something that they had experienced, and they don't know enough about it, or they're wondering what is going on. Yeah, and so the magazine actually provides that to our readership, and it was so much fun last night to go over the highlights of the articles that are listed on the cover of the August issue. And the reason why I mention it right now is because one of the cards actually talks about seeking. Yeah, I'm going to turn this off, the crawler. I was just thinking, yesterday was the first day that we had the chat in the studio. I was able to scroll. And today, there's no messages showing up in the studio, so I don't know what that is. Although I can see Jen's comment. Good morning, Jen. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do the cards. Shift some energy, right? Okay, so the very first card, when it popped out of the deck, I was happy. I'm always happy when this particular ally shows up. Drum. This happens to be a Native American style hand drum with its drum beater, right? Decorated with a bear and with the lines around the bear is very symbolic of lightning. And if you notice, up near the top is a snake, right? And sometimes they say that because how the snake moves, that sometimes it does do that jagged kind of movement, almost like lightning, the path of lightning. And so when this card jumped out, I thought, oh my goodness, I am so excited really about this upcoming class here at Star Nations Academy where I'm live streaming from. It's a drum making workshop this weekend on Saturday, and I've been preparing for it. We just did a thorough cleaning, I think that was on Monday, and it was so humid out. But we pulled everything that's in the corners, and we dusted everything. We washed the windows. The windows look great. And yeah, when we cleaned the whole place, I even took the altar down and cleaned it off, shook out the altar cloths and spruced it up a bit, yeah, and so getting prepared for the drum making workshop. Yeah. And so for, everybody who knows me knows that the drum is a very close and dear to my heart. I've been connected to the drum for practically my entire life. I started Native American dancing publicly when I was 5, and I did competition powwow dancing for a while, about 4 or 5 years. And then I danced professionally down at Stand Rock, and it's the drum has always been in my life, always. And so for the drum card to come up today made me feel really good, really, really good. So here is what the author, and the author, I should probably show you which deck we're using. We're using the White Eagle medicine wheel deck, sorry. And the author is Wana Neshi. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Along with Elena Harvey. Right, copyrighted 1997. So that's the deck we're using and the author. And the author happens to be Ojibwa, which is also Anishinaabe, and Lakota. Okay, so he comes from those two people. And he's sharing from his perspective about the medicine wheel. Yeah. I feel like a drum ass today. Does that count for anything? It sure does. It sure does, Rob. All right. Just, today is one of those days where I feel like do you ever have that feeling when you were like in school, much younger, and you were just out of step? And they say walking or dancing to the beat of a different drummer. Well, that was me in high school. And today kind of feels the same way. That's why I say the energy is, I don't want to use the word wonky, but it is different today. It's different. Okay, so the drum. It says, the drum teaches you to find your own vibration, the quality of sound heard in the voice of individuals who speak from their heart, a sound of fearlessness, truth, openness, and warmth. Find your heart song. It may rise wordless from the deep inner place of joy. Elders' hearts are always at peace. They constantly bless the gifts of life. It says, wake up, don't get complacent, shake it up, and dare to move with the rhythm of life. And the drum represents the entire universe. When you have the drum, the hand drum, and the drumstick together, that's the balance between male and female energies. The drum happens to be the female energy and the drumstick the male energy. And so when you're using the drum and the drumstick together, and so it puts you into that place of balance for whatever you're drumming for, whether it's a prayer or whether it was for joy, a social gathering, maybe it's a shamanic journey, anything. It already starts out in the balance of male and female energies. And it also starts out with the energy of the entire universe. So that's why they call drums big medicine. Yeah, I forgot to switch my speaker. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear my microphone a little bit better, because I just realized I was still using the internal mic. Okay, so with the drum, it also represents the first sound that we hear as a fetus. We're in our mother's womb, right? We hear her heartbeat is the first sound that we hear. And when we're born, what greets us is the heartbeat of Grandmother Earth, right? Yeah. And so it's that steady beat. And the drum, doesn't matter what kind of drum, the drum is the one that keeps the rhythm, right? Keeps everybody in the same pace. And so in groups, especially if you're drumming for somebody to dance, or if you're drumming a song, right, is that the drum actually keeps the steady beat, and it keeps everyone together. And so it's a really important part of a musical piece, right? And Rob, if you can chime in on that one, that would be great. And there's different kinds of drumming, of course, everything from rock to shamanic drumming. And there's all kinds of drums all over the world. Every indigenous people had some sort of drum. And if we go back far enough, all of us, we all come from an indigenous people from some continent. And they all had some sort of drum, right? At some point in time. The other thing that came to me is that the author of this deck puts four cards in a category that he calls elders. And I wanted to share with you what his perspective of what an elder is, okay? He says, elders possess knowledge and the wisdom of life's experiences, not only their own life, but that of their grandparents, right back to the beginning of time for the two-leggeds. Reaching the elder level means that you have really started taking responsibility for the life you create by your own actions, and for the thought patterns that you hold, more positive rather than negative. At elder level, you become a teacher for others through your example. You have an awareness of Mother Earth and of her children, and are doing what you can to preserve and nurture her. Make sure that by your existence, you will make a difference. Your questions will reflect your growing responsibility and awareness. He goes on to say that each of the four totem cards represents one of the four levels of our psyches: spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. These cards may be used for inner guidance, initiation, and transformation. He says, our ancient ones, our elders, exist mostly in the energy world, as yours do if you're of any other ancestry. So if you need their wisdom, offer a gift and call them. Call their spirit beings. They will always answer a true seeker. A true seeker. And I really believe that we are constantly searching and constantly seeking. Now that may seem or feel like we're restless, right? That we don't have peace or we don't have harmony because we're constantly searching. But it's not quite that way. It might be that way for our physical life, right? You know, when we're doing the career thing or the education, and then the career thing, and then your family, and then retirement, and you know how your physical life progresses, right? In a spiritual sense, we are constantly searching and seeking, and that doesn't mean that we're restless or not in peace or not in harmony. It just means that we're searching for a deeper meaning. We're searching for that validation and confirmation from spirit, right? And that we're all seekers. And when we begin to lose the interest of seeking, then we have to also turn inward and ask ourselves the question is, why am I not living my soul contract? Why am I not completing what I came here to complete? Right? And I know it's kind of hard. It's difficult many times when, especially if you're an empath and you haven't embraced your gift yet or haven't remembered how to use that kind of gift, so it's not so overwhelming, right? Because many empaths, what they do is they pull in and isolate because it's just too difficult to be around other people and their emotions. It's kind of like going through battery, right? Getting beat up. And so you tend to isolate. But when we do that, we're not living either. And we're not doing what we came here to do. And so I think that we're all seekers. And when we finally say, okay, I think I have enough. That we're ready to move on to our next spiritual experience, and we walk on. We leave our physical body and we return back into spirit. And then we get I think, this is my 2 cents, I think we have a chance when we're back into spirit that we get a whole, big chunk of space to be able to integrate everything that we went through here. And just, to really bring it all in and see how it all looks and feels when it's all put together with all the other wisdom that we've gained from other lifetimes. And so we get to integrate that, right? Yeah, as a spirit. That's what I think. Seekers. Yeah, let's see. Rob is saying, I just got back from talking to HR. What are you asking? I wasn't really asking anything, Rob. I was just sharing about being a seeker, because part of the information that was coming from the author of the deck, the drum card is a part of 4 cards at what he calls an elder level. And I shared with everybody what the author's perspective is of being an elder. And one of the things he says in there is that that our ancient ones, our elders, those who have walked on, it doesn't matter what ancestry you are, that if you need their assistance is to gift them and to call on them, right? And that they will always answer a true seeker. And that's what we were talking about, a true seeker, and also carries the rhythm, right? And so I just thought maybe you'd like to add your 2 cents in there since you're a musician. I know you're not a drummer, But when you are, even when you're playing your guitar, you're tapping your foot, right? Right? To keep the beat. So, yeah, and another thing that came up with with the drum, is that, when we're using it in space clearing, a drum, the sacred sound of a drum, what it does is it comes in to break up stagnant or stuck energy. And the thing is that energy doesn't really stop. It just moves really, really slowly. Very, very slowly. And so it feels stuck to us because it's not flowing, right, in a certain way. And when we do a space clearing with a drum, what we're doing is we're breaking up that stuck and stagnant energy. And so literally we're shaking it up, and we're shaking up everything that's in that energy field. So all the plants, the fish, any open water. That's why we have, if you can put your pets in another room while we're doing this room, that kind of thing, because everything gets shaken up. And then once we shake everything up, and then we come back through and we move that energy out again, and we smooth things out. Yeah. And so the drum actually does quite a bit of energy work, to break up that stuck energy. And it does take some practice to do that with a drum. It does. Because you have to sense and feel the energy, what it's like, but you're also listening to how the voice of the drum is changing as you move through certain parts of the space. Yeah. Yep. So, all right. So the drum. And so, when I was sitting with the information about the drum coming from the author, I felt like this is really reaching to us and talking to us about the quality of the sound heard in the voice of individuals speaking from their heart. Okay, so really what they're talking about here is sacred sound. Sacred sound. And how the drum is has a voice. The drum of the voice. And the voice of the drum can actually help those that have a block or a barrier from using their own voice. Okay, the drum can actually speak for you in a healing way. Okay, and so many times people who are going through that kind of healing, it's helpful to have a drum involved with that, because we can tap into the voice of the drum. Right? Okay. All right. Rob says, I only caught half of what you said. It is feast or famine around here, and I can't walk 2 feet without getting pulled away. Oh, that's okay, Rob. I know you're at work. Don't worry about it, okay? No worries. Yeah, no, don't even have to apologize. I totally understand. It's all right. I'm just happy that you're here with us, okay? All right. So, the drum has such big energy, and it can carry quite a heavy load of energy. It's got the ability to carry a large space. Yeah. So it's teaching us also to find our own vibration, our own rhythm within our vibration, right? Yeah. So, when you're feeling, I don't know, just about anything. I mean, I've used my own drum for myself, for my own self-healing, that when you need something to be really moved, to be moved out, right, to shake it up. If you're feeling like you're stuck, or you're feeling, you're kind of disoriented, you're just not drumming can help you come back into your own body and to be present and to be present. You know, in the same token, it can help you to do shamanic journey, right? It's very interesting to work with a drum, to pick up that drum medicine. So here's the second card. Here's the second card. Elk. And beadwork again. Artistry here. An image of an elk done in beads. It's a medallion. And in the background is the leather of the hide, tanned hide, elk hide, with an elk horn that's used for like a knife, a handle of a knife. And the knife portion of the blade portion of that knife, if you can see, it almost looks like an arrowhead, but it's not. It's obsidian, so it carries a very sharp edge. Elk. So anytime that we use parts of that animal, any animal actually, it brings with it their medicine to whatever it is that you're making. So that knife carries elk medicine. That bag that was there of the tanned leather carries the medicine of the elk. And even that medallion, because it has the medallion, the picture of the elk on it, carries the medicine of the elk. Right? And so many times in my workshops for drum making, we're making elk. That was the very first drum I ever made, was elk hide. And elk for a drum is very versatile. It's very versatile. It can have a deeper voice. It can have a lighter voice. It can have a really thick skin or a really thin skin. It can be used in drum circles, kind of social situations, but it can also be used as a healing drum. It's a very versatile drum energy, elk is. Elk can also be used just for your personal use, but it's also very good for those that light workers who are energy workers and they work with a drum and they can use it on other people, the sacred sound coming from the drum. And so it's very, very versatile. Can be used for many different reasons and intentions. An elk is about pacing yourself, learning how to use your energy in a balanced way. It's about going the distance rather than running a short race, right? Because elk can run for a really long distance without getting winded and tired, right? So they're all about conserving energy, but also using their energy to the best possible, And elk are also known about really getting along with their own gender. In the winter time, is it winter? I got to stop and think for a moment, because what they call is herding up. And that's where I think it's probably closer to spring, because the female, the cows, they are off in their own herds because they're delivering their babies, okay, in the spring, around June, between middle of May and middle of June. And the male elk, the bulls, are off in their own areas because they're herding up together, and they spend all that time with their own gender, right? Yeah. So what is it about self-esteem, strength, and the bringer of dreams? That's what this card is about in this deck. Self-esteem, strength, and a bringer of dreams. says the elk is proudly stepped into your life. It may bring love medicine, the ability to love, to care for yourself and for others, and also to receive support from being with your own gender. Elk says you have the gift of friendship, but remember to value your friends. With adversaries, elk shows you when to hide, when to run, and when to stand and fight. If you feel run down and depleted or sluggish, elk is telling you to be more aware of how you're using your energy. Stop charging about or fighting unnecessary battles. Going out into nature will recharge your batteries. The bringer of dreams. Elk medicine. I was wondering, does anybody in the live chat, do you guys know if you carry elk as a power animal or totem? Because it's very interesting in my family. Elk is one of my power animals. It certainly is I believe, a power animal for Paul, although he just likes them a lot. He does a lot of work for the elk. This is one of his projects, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. It's a not-for-profit that he supports. He does a lot of volunteer work for them. We have 2 elk herds here in Wisconsin, and we have spent a lot of energy on those 2 herds. Yeah, and my mom, her spirit name, her native name, means leading elk. And so we have a lot of elk energy in our house. And so when these 2 cards came up today together, it was like I had to smile. It felt really good. It felt really, really good. Hey, Marie's here. Hi, Marie. Yeah. So, the elk energy, and in the way that this author, from their perspective, what they're bringing is that it's all about how our relationships are with other people and ourselves, right? That we have a strength in us that the elk can help us with. And some of that is that pacing, to be able to pace your energy to where you place it. It's not necessarily in a running a race kind of thing, or running. It could be, but a lot of it has to do with where you place your energy and how much of your energy do you use in certain places. And if you ever find yourself overbooked, you can always call on elk energy to come in to help you to really set a good, healthy pace, right? And that might mean that you're going to be prioritizing what needs to be done first. And sometimes things that need to be done first are the bigger pieces because they take more energy, right? And so elk can help us to pace that. And if you can do those kinds of things, you really feel good about yourself. You really do, because you feel like you've accomplished quite a bit. You feel like you've really done your soul work, right? It feels good. Does that mean that everything got done? No. Never. Never. But it does mean that you feel good about the work that you've done. And it kind of reminds me of Miguel Ruiz, right? Don Miguel, is just to do your best, And elk energy medicine can do that, can help you to do that. Yeah. All right. So if we put these 2 cards together, to really understand what Spirit is bringing to us today, this is where hopefully we're going to get into a good conversation about this. Right? Okay, so call your team into you, call your spiritual team to come to you, the whole team, right? And ask them to help you to take in the information that's meant for you, coming from the essence, the spirit of the cards, and to take in the information to the optimal, right? So that you're seeing, sensing, or feeling both the seen and unseen. So you're actually looking at it with your physical eyes, but you're also bringing in a whole lot more information that's in the unseen. Okay? So deep breath in. And on the exhale, bringing in the information coming from the cards. Now with the drum, it's funny, one is talking about rhythm, finding your own vibration and how your rhythm within that vibration. That's with the drum. And the elk is all about where to place your energy. Your pacing. How do you pace yourself so that you're using your energy in the best way possible? So you don't end up feeling fatigued, right? And, when you look at an elk, you see their horns for the bulls, and for the females, the cows, it's how they move, that they're very graceful. Noble is the word that comes to mind. And so when we bring in the elk energy with the drum energy, we're really talking about our own vibration. How our heartbeat is felt by others in our energy field, in the words that we speak, right? That when we're coming from our heart, others feel that, they sense that. When we are comfortable in our own vibration, that's what they're feeling. And if you're an energy worker, a light worker, consciously using your gifts, right? And how your soul is being expressed through those gifts. When you're doing it from your heart, that's what people are feeling. That as healers, we're not the ones doing the healing. We're creating an energy field so that the person we're assisting makes their adjustment in their energy field to take in the healing energy coming from spirit. Right? Yeah. So with the drum, being comfortable with your own vibration and doing your own healing work so that you are closer and closer to your original song, your original vibration, so that you are that clear conduit for spirit as that spirit works through you. So that your soul is experiencing exactly what it needs to experience to gain the wisdom. And with the elk energy backing that up, it's all about how we're in our relationship with those with their own gender, how we pace ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. There's one word in here with the elk that it was a phrase. It was a bringer of dreams. And the author never really mentions anything about the bringer of dreams. But the elk with the knowing how to pace yourself. I feel that the bringer of dreams has to do with living our dream, right? Whatever it is that we're creating, we can create a beautiful dream. And we ground it right here on the earth plane. And that's when we are really feeling really, really good with our own vibration. And it's okay. It's okay to walk with a different beat than everybody else. It's okay, right? Yeah. Hey, Jen's got something to say. Let's see. Let's bring this up. Jen says elk is the same as deer. Well, it's the same. It's the same family. Elk is a much bigger than a deer. Elk weigh anywhere between 900 to 1,400 pounds. I don't know what that is in that conversion, but they're huge animals. They're probably the size of a large horse. Yeah, they're huge. Jen goes, I made my drum from deer skin and I've had some wonderful connections with deer energy. I use my drum to clear space, to create a deep meditative state, grounding so many uses. Yes, I have a djembe drum also that is great for awakening stagnant heavy. Good for you. And Rochelle says, I am hearing mumbled voices behind your own voice. You are? I told you the energy for me is kind of strange today. Jen says, have the strength and courage to drum to your own beat. That's right. And that is huge. Yeah. Yeah. And she goes, that's huge. That's right. That's right. It's when we're comfortable in, there's an old saying, being comfortable in your own skin, right? That's sort of the feeling that this gives me. And when we learn how to place our energy, allocate it in a certain way that's good for us, right? Especially in our work, other people can feel that, right? And they don't really mind. They don't mind when we're walking to our own beat of our own drum, right? Because we're doing it from our heart. We're doing it from our heart. Yeah, they don't mind. In talking about drums, Jen, obviously, the skin or the hide that we use for the drums all carry the energy or the medicine of that animal, right? And so for me, for the deer, our deer here in the United States, they're in stature, they're much, much smaller than an elk. They're usually, it's a good comparison. I don't know. They're not little, that's for sure. Their weight goes anywhere between 90 pounds to maybe 120 for a large deer, 130, something like that. So it's quite a bit size difference from an elk. And their skin for drum, there are places when it's thicker, like around the neck, it will be thicker. But their skin in general for drums are much thinner. And so the voice of that drum may not have the deep resonance of it. And deer energy is really, really good for your personal work, because when you think of the qualities of a deer, they're very graceful, right? And they're very, I'm trying to think of a good word. that describes their energy. Yeah, their energy is much lighter than elk or buffalo, right? Or moose. Those are all in the same kind of family. Yeah. They're really, really good for internal work, your own personal work. Those are the drums that really generally don't even like to be played by other people. You know, when you ask a drum if one of your drums, if they don't mind if somebody so and so, plays, drums you or holds you, asking them if it's okay to be held by someone else. Generally speaking, a deer drum will say no. I don't want that. I want to stay with you. It's because when you do that kind of internal work together, you're really, really bonded, very bonded. Yeah. Elk, like I said, are very versatile, very versatile. You can use them for just about anything. And buffalo are much thicker hides, and they have a really, really deep voice. And they're meant to carry more universal kind of prayers, really big prayers, right? Yeah. And they handle the humidity really well. Their voice hardly ever shifts in really humid weather or really dry weather. Their voice is very stable. Whereas the other two, especially deer is going to change a lot with the weather, a lot. Elk, not quite as much, but it will get thuddy in really humid weather, and it'll get really kind of what I call tinny when it's really, really dry. So it does shift a lot too. Yeah, and djembes, all those are so fun to play. Djembes are usually made out of goat skin, goat hide. And so they don't shift as much with the humidity, with the weather. And I've only used djembes in a social arena, not so much in the healing sense. So what did you say, Jen? You said the djembe. It's great for awakening stagnant, heavy blocked chakras. Okay. Yeah, I've only used hand drums for that kind of healing work. So that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Jen. And Rochelle, I don't know what it is with my voice. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we've been having quite a bit of spirit stuff going on at my house. With mom being so well, she's 100, right? There's always something that's going on that I have to kind of sit with and say, okay, what is this about? What do I need to shift? Is there anything that needs shifting? Who came to visit? That kind of stuff. And yeah, and so she had some stuff going on in the last day and a half, and yeah, that might have something to do with it. It could have something to do with my own energy too. That I want to call it wonky, but it is different today. It is different. Interesting stuff. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. And Jen is saying, yes, absolutely. They are not native to my region. Someone bred them, then let them go. Oh my goodness. I thought I was hallucinating when I saw one in my car headlights. Yes, I understand what you mean. Thank you so much for the great explanation. Yes, deer does not like humidity. No, they don't. Even if you have them stored in the best way possible, like in a drum bag, with some padding around it. It's helpful, but voice still shifts and changes. Yeah. So with the drums and the elk, I got a good story for you. Elk. I told you we got a lot of elk energy around my house. We do. Years ago, my husband is a hunter, right? And he's been on elk hunts several times, and he had this one knife. It was the very first knife that he took with him on his first hunt, and And he used that knife to field dress the deer, right? And did the ceremony and the whole thing around it. Did it in a good way. All right, so that following spring from his hunt, I was asked to do a space clearing on a office space where, including me, we were going to be doing presentations. And it was kind of like a panel, okay? And if I would come in and do the space clearing before the presentation. And of course I did. And I did my usual thing. I traveled there in spirit. I got some information and I asked, what is the most appropriate tool of my tool should I take to do the space clearing? And my team kept showing me this cutting motion. It's like, because I thought, fire ceremony, I thought drum. That was my mental mind going through it, right? And I'm going, what? I don't get that. I don't understand. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, knife. Oh, you're talking about a knife. Okay. I haven't worked with a knife before. All right. And so in my mind, I'm going through all of the knives that I have in the kitchen. Which knife? Just let me know which one it is. It's because I was using imagery. I'd picture a certain knife, and it was like, no. I think, well, okay, I think I went through all the knives in the kitchen. What knife are you talking about? And they showed me this elk. And then if the shock must have been on my face. It's like, are you talking about a knife, an elk? And the only one I could think of was Paul's hunting knife that he had just used, because it had an elk horn handle, had a very sharp blade to it. And so I brought that image to me, and I could feel it. It was like this, yay, yes, that's it. That's the one. So the next day I had to ask Paul, I said, can I borrow that knife that you used? And he looked at me, he goes, sure. Do you mind me asking what and why? And so I told him about the space clearing, and he says, it's got a really sharp edge to it. And I said, I'll be really careful. And so my spiritual team had to show me how to use the knife the way they wanted me to use it in that space clearing. And I took the altar with me. I took my space clearing tools, took the knife. I had my eagle feather, and I had cedar, and I was going to go in to do this. And it was in a building that had a metal detector that you had to walk through. Now, how am I going to get a knife through a metal detector? Okay. So I'm talking to my team. It's like, if you want me to use this, you're going to have to get me through this metal detector. It never went off. The metal detector never went off. So they didn't even look in my basket. They didn't, many of those people knew who I was, of course, but the metal detector never went off. So I went up to the room and I did the space clearing, and then I knew why I had to use the knife, is because there was so much residual energy, negative thought forms, that you literally had to cut through them, right? So because it had the elk energy to it, between the handle and what it was used for, it carried the energy of the elk. And so the elk actually helped me to pace my energy in doing that particular space clearing, because it was a lot of energy, a lot of stuck, low vibrational energy that needed to go away. And so it was elk energy, elk medicine, that really helped me get through that one, and did a really good job too. We had a great presentation. People walked in and said, oh my gosh, it feels so good in here. And the equipment, they had a PowerPoint projector, one of the commercial ones, that wasn't working. And the techs came in to set things up, and two ladies had PowerPoint that they were going to use, and the techs are saying, well, I don't know, it's pretty spotty, it doesn't usually work. And so they tried it, and it worked. It worked through the entire presentation. So, yay. That was back in the old days when I was doing a lot of space clearings and teaching it. So, hey, it's at the top of the hour already. It was a long story. I didn't mean to go on and on and on about it, but there it is. All right. So, whatever was shared today about the drum information and the elk and whatever it was that resonated with you, whether it was a word, a phrase, the whole thing, whatever it was, is just to embrace it and to watch and see, sense how the energy is flowing today around you and where this information can be helpful. Right? And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right. There's always tomorrow's card draw, and maybe that one will resonate with you. Okay. All right. So tonight is all about Polly Joe LeBay and soul connections. If you are an energy worker or a light worker who hasn't really done your own self-care, your own healing work, because you put yourself lower on the list of work to do, right? Yeah, tonight could be for you. Come and bring your intention of whatever it is that you want to heal or release. You'll be calling in your own spiritual team to help you work through that. And Polly Joe and her team, they create the sacred space for us. They hold it for us. And if we need help releasing any of it, that they're there to help too. So, and the second half is all about the card draw. So if you enjoy having a mini card reading, and then being with Polly Joe with that, I tell you, it's some pretty good messages that come through. Join us at 8 p.m. I'm sorry, back up. That's 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Spiritual Roundtable tomorrow afternoon. Okay, all right. So, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for, until we see each other again. Love you guys.